Hello and welcome back to Zarantia under Mekiouzza Ataghan. And in today's episode, we have finally defeated the stupid Terrans. And we are going back home. And we are restoring our life's work. The Reaving of Terra. When the Terrans came roaring out of the west, determined to conquer, they had broken a compact that they might well not even have realized existed. Centuries of secretive isolation, broken by only the occasional raid, had meant the Imazib and the Tobukians both had largely dismissed them as mad creatures and slavers in the west, and whom they were content to leave alone as long as the favor was repaid. The raids were a hazard, like floods or storms, and you repaid it with counter-raids, or just taking pot shots at retreating raiders as they left. With the attempted conquest, however, the understanding was off, and the favor was repaid in kind, except instead of it being a conquest that got them knowing, I saw them doing a lot of things and was like, that looks dangerous. Then I attacked them first. Yet Terra, for all its wealth and resources, was a land of fanatics that would die before they surrendered, and the Imazid were not going to enter into the death spiral that long-term occupation would entail. They had their homeland, and they now had their victory, so instead they fell back on the old ways of pillaging. By orders of the Illiquid, every burned farmstead and every devastated town would be paid for not in blood or conquest, but in goods. Grain stockpiles, industrial machinery, wealth, whether national or personal, all would be seized and shipped back to the east, and whatever couldn't be brought along would be destroyed. Terra was an immortal beast who had survived 1,000 years, but though it couldn't be killed, it could be maimed. They came offering us fire and death. Add spoils of war, activates missions, the Reaving of Terra. Her life's work restored. A few years ago, it seemed as though Mekiouzza Ataghan's life work would be left in ruins, but she persevered, and she triumphed. Zarantia stands stronger than ever, and Mekiouzza's authority is absolute. At last, the great Illiquid can rest. A dance of fire and steel. General, the resistance is heavy throughout the city still. They seem ready to fight to the bitter end. The warrior bowed to Zagwa, who stood on a hill overlooking New Anacity, as messengers came running to keep her updated. She'd only ever heard whispers of the city, and it was truly an impressive one. Even with the smoke that rose to the sky, the worst fighting is at the temple. The remnants of their moon legions have dug in there to defend it. We don't need their artifacts. Zagwa could respect their grim determination. They knew that meant no mercy would be given, and they accepted it. Their dark goddess would probably spirit them to her side in the afterlife. Bring up artillery and level the building. Shoot down those who try to move. Move to seize the factories. Make sure to bring engineers along to evaluate what we can seize and destroy, or booby-track what we can't. Is the railroad under control? They fortified that position, but one of our sharpshooters managed to kill the commander. They're still determined to fight on, though. The longer we have to dance with them, the more of them will kill. Start fires in the eastern sectors of the city. Try contacting them and say that either they give us the station or we'll continue to empty the city of lice. Also, sabotage the water reservoirs. The Serdmud had been feared across Zarantia and before Mekiouzza ensnared them in her web. Though Zagwa believed in the Illiquid's dream and would fight for it, she knew they had in effect been tamed. The old ways would die, but by the gods it felt good to let the old fury out for one last dance of fire and steel, determined to make us their slaves. Yeah, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. No slavery for you. Nuh-uh, no slavery. Ooh. Yes, please. The Broken Eclipse. As interim commander of the Ursa Legion, I hereby offer my unconditional surrender to the Eloquid of Zarantia, and request that the southeast is spared from her soldiers' wrath. The young legionnaire head was bowed, and his voice hollow with defeat. 2 swords were held with the blades resting against his throat, and the warriors around him all held their weapons close. Should be so merciful. I swear to ensure that the region is peacefully made part of the great Zarantian state. All I ask is that we are given what the Tobukians have been given, a say in our own affairs and the right to maintain our customs of faith. If she grants me this boon, I will work tirelessly to ensure that they become our loyal subjects. I accept your offer, Lord Commander Lucent Eclipse, Mekiouzza Ataghan told him from her position towering above him. He was such a pitiful figure, and had just thrown away his people's ways to save them. For it, he would be branded the worst traitor, and yet she couldn't help but respect it. Look at me, she ordered him, and he obliged. His eyes were like a mirror back into her darkest moments after Tobuk's fall. Smiling, she leaned down and took his cheek in her hoof. I see the sacrifice you made for your people, and I am not blind to it. When your work is finished, you will be spirited away from here. You will settle with a trusted tribe, and you will bear the name Ascax. As you gave your people life and security with this, so shall I give you the same. Now rise and tell me what you will do to ensure your goals. As they gave, they have given. I mean, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good thing to give. Just instant compliance. Compliance. I don't know how you did it, but thanks. I'll take, yeah. You can be freed or whatever in exchange for that. That sounds good. Only when she allowed it. No rest for the wicked, her daughter had said once, and Mekiouzza couldn't help but smile dryly to herself as she recalled it from her bed. It had been during the darkest moments of her life, and yet she had come back from it, stronger than before. Though Tobuk had slipped out of her grasp, and she had regained it, and though the world had kept challenging her, she had triumphed. Zarantia was stronger than ever, and she finally dared to believe that would survive without her. Was that due to her reforms or actions? Oh, certainly, to some extent. But there was one thing that gave her hope above all other things, her dear daughter. Though she had worried that her sweet daughter would not be up to the challenge that came with leadership, the events of the last years had proven Umale's mettle beyond what Mekiouzza could have dreamed of. Indeed, maybe she had been the one to hold Umale's back, she wondered, as the door slammed open and Umale came hurrying inside. Oh, definitely, you seemed very much more aggressive, and she was very much more chill one. Her influence definitely caused this path to happen. Mother, are you well? Umale asked as she came up to Mekiouzza's side. They said you were ill. I've been ill for a long time. I just did not allow it to bother me. Mekiouzza's voice was cracking, the iron determination that had driven her for the last years finally having begun to run out. It was inexorable, the building. I once cursed the fates for giving me a daughter that was so soft, but I was wrong. I see that now. You will be what Zarantia needs, and I was a fool for not seeing that. She gave up a slow hoarse sigh, feeling how tiredness only grew. Good luck, my little flower. It's time for me to go to your father. Mekiouzza Ataghan has passed on. Change his astral focus tree to the Eternal Federation. And right now we have a tribal council in charge, which, has no description, but that doesn't feel too weird. Alright. An Eternal Federation. We weep for the great Elquild as we put her to rest. But in her wake has left a great void that cannot be filled by any one zebra. She was great, but now other zebras must stand together and each be a co-equal part of carrying what she carried alone. Yeah. Councils! Woo! Let them rot in their ruins. Chiroptera had paid thoroughly for their attempts to conquer us, and as we retreat from the northern and western regions, we leave behind burning ruins and fields. The spoils of last month are being transported back to Tobuk, where they'll be divided up and put to good use. All industrial machinery falls to the Eloquid. All gold and jewelry falls to the warriors who seized it. The foodstuffs is distributed evenly among the people, and all their goods are traded on to whoever can earn the highest price. Not since the ancient times have the Imazib seen such wealth and plunder, and the streets are filled with music and celebration at the end of the war. The southeast of Chiroptera has been seized under the Elquild's banner, and though the locals were more than willing to fight back at first, the aid of the rigid Lord Commanders kept things under control. By the ancient customs of war, the matter's now settled. They came for us, we crushed them, and we took our just compensation for the suffering they inflicted. If the Chiropterans would come again, that is on them, but they cannot say they don't know their price. And in vengeance, we found justice, and the ruins left behind are foes slowly rebuilt. Bye. Have fun over there. I don't care about you. The only thing that's annoying to me is the fact that I'm not getting some of your stuff now. So I'm gonna have to trade with someone else. Sure. And sure. Let's see. We got the Spores of War. Whoop. An Internal Federation. Whoop. First, we got things. I mean, honestly, we're looking great. I guess I'll just push for doing that next. We weep. Oh, wait. No, I've already read that. Good luck. You have gotten what you deserve. The end of an era. Weep, O sun and mountains. Weep, O stars. Weep, O sea. Pass your story onwards. Pass through eternity. In the story written in blood and toil and tears, let it be born once more to face no pain nor fears. The song of the Muntari cult echoes across the field, thousands of torches illuminating it like the stars illuminated the night sky, casting their shadows on the white-clothed mourners and the mausoleum that they stood in front of. A procession walked slowly down the pathway, open in the crowd, 6 zebras carrying the mummified body of Mekiouzza Ataghan towards the crypt. In their wake, Zarantia wept. The chiefs of Equin, Emix, sworn enemies once, stood side by side, with their heads bowed deeply to the mare who had buried their ancient enmity and dared them to dig it up. Was if Tellet, he who had so reluctantly come to serve her, showed his grief without any reservation for the only zebra who could have conquered the mighty Tallet. We hid his face, for among the Tezawit, grief was not shown openly beyond the family. Yet his shaking body spoke its clear language, as his Zagwa's stony, expressionless face down which tears were carving their paths all the same. As the mausoleum stood Umalez, alone in her grief, and as her mother was carried past her, the procession stopped and she leaned in, giving Mekiouzza a final farewell kiss. Whispering how much she loved her mother, she sobbed uncontrollably as she was gently pulled away, and Mekiouzza was carried into the tomb to her final rest. As she was interned, the sound of the doors slamming shut was the sound of every zebra's mother being lost to them. Weep, O sun and mountains, weep, O stars, weep, O sea. The tale is now ending, and all things destiny. Let the victor rest now, her work is at last done. In tears we give our oaths to carry her work on. And they are now the Zarantian Confederation. The first among equals. We honor Umalez Ataghan not as the daughter of the great Equilid, but also for her own efforts for our people. Yet like her, we have learned from her mother. She has a place of honor in the Federation we built, but is one among us, not above us. That doesn't sound like the smartest thing. Lake City. That's some interesting borders you got there. I mean, I get why you're so popular. You've done pretty good for the expansion of your nation, so. Oh well, whatever. Sometimes all you need to do to be popular is conquer. I never actually added signal companies. Yeah, I've been busy doing things like trying to survive, for example. Which I think is a pretty important thing to do. A return to the old ways. The mood in the council room was tense, indeed awkward, and the Umas silently waited for the vote that was taking place to finish. It was a formality, most of it had been decided already in the backroom deals and agreements. Strangely so, she did not mind that. The council was forged together tightly enough that it moved on its own, and like her mother, she did not see it as a means to an end. It was its own entity, and it moved by its own will. Wasn't that a good thing? The tribes that Mekiouzza had reluctantly empowered had seized that power, and now worked together to achieve their goals. Yet as the voting drew to a close, it became obvious that despite the efforts of several figures on the council, she was still elected Equilid, rising from her seat to accept the role. She thought back to her mother's last words. "You'll be what Zarantia needs, and Umalez knew her path, so she would walk it. I thank you all for your faith in me, and I swear upon my mother's name that I will treat this position with the care it deserves. I also wish to state clearly, and for all future records, that I assume the position of Equid. Only I will be the protector of Zarantia, not its ruler. I speak for the tribes, but do not demand their blind allegiance. I, like the rest of you, will be a servant of our homeland. My mother created this council to give all the tribes a voice, and my purpose is protecting those voices. And so I, Umalez Ataghan, greet you, rulers of Zarantia." She bowed her head deeply to them, being met with deafening silence for a floatish council. Not a queen, just a Quillid. Umalez Ataghan stops being political advisor, becomes leader of the Harmonic Party, and we are the Tribal Federation. And also, let's see, what do I want to get here? Monthly population. Yeah, I'll grab up you. And I suppose I'll grab up you, because why not? Zarantia is emissy. We came together as many different peoples, nomadic, settled, modernizing, traditionalist, militant, mercantile, it all came together as one, under the principle of emissy. Unity not through conformity, but tolerance and mutual respect. That is Zarantia, that and nothing else. And those who claim otherwise should be viewed with suspicion. Yeah, we should kill him. I'm joking. Near Harmonic. Yeah, communism doesn't exist. We've done it. We are forming our federation. We've defeated our enemies and united ourselves greatly. Zarantia is many things, but doesn't create issues to have the tribes have this much independence. With all that was going on in the world, Long Range had figured that going to Zarantia to write about it would be a good distraction, but she had quickly realized that they weren't exactly just ponies with stripes. Wouldn't that just lead to further divisions? A strong tribe could just defect and take the best land and industry with them. They could, but why would they? Her guide asked in response. Self-determination? Being able to rule themselves without having to think about what a bunch of other zebras think about it? They still would, though. Their cousins, maybe, or their siblings-in-law. Rare is the zebra without rivals or enemies in their own tribe. But that's still their people, isn't it? If push comes to shove, they're with them against the others. Now I see what you are on about. Her guide nodded, as if he had realized something. I trust the Tijuwit chieftain more than my cousin. My cousin is a haughty fool. Izamrazan Tijuwit is a zebra of honor. If I argue with Izamrazan about farmland, maybe my cousin will be an ally there, but then we will bicker again. If I've been honorable with Imisharan, she could be my ally against him in other matters. When some creature asked, "Are you with me or against me?" we ask, "What is the issue at Hoof?" Sometimes you will stand as one family, sometimes you must find out allies elsewhere. If you break away from Zarantia, you only have your family, and then you're weaker for it. Zarantia is a game that never ends, and if you leave, you don't get to play again. Oh, Longreign's head was spinning. They really weren't just ponies with stripes. Blood is thicker than water, but honor is stronger than both. Unlocks expanding the Federation decisions. Okay, so we can integrate other people if we expand into them. Interesting. I can't even justify on people though. So it's only if other people attack me. Okay, cool. An Ascendant Council. The seeds that were planted by the great Aquilid are blooming, and the council she created has reached its true potential. It is now more than just an advisory body. It is the beating heart of the nation, where all the voices of all the tribes sing, not always in harmony, but always together. Woo! It's an interesting system, but we make it work. Woo, recruit population. Not that we need it at this point, but we've got it. So, the army can expand. Woo. Thank goodness. I don't know. You really need it. Amicity laws. There can be no doubt in the minds of any creature that the code is central to Zarantia. Other tribes and people have their customs, and they will be respected. Fair enough. Let's see, so one of them... Oh, wow. So the one that has fallen is the Lunar Empire, guys. It looks like the Changing Lands are doing poorly, but it's not the Lunar Empire that's making that happening. It's purely the Crystal Empire, because the Changing Lands pushed far into the Lunar Empire to the point that the Crystal Empire encircled them and is now currently occupying the territory. The Changing Lands are gonna lose this because they're completely encircled there and they're being pushed back there. But it's, the Lunar Empire has actually been pushed back in Stalingrad and got pushed hard over there. So, they're just very lucky for the Crystal Empire, because the Crystal Empire also helped them get their starting into, they helped them win the Civil War in the first place. The Crystal Empire has actually done a lot for the Lunar Empire. An Ascendant Council. Though the Ataghan brought Zarantia to greatness, they do not claim to be the final authority of it. All people part of Zarantia have a place in the highest authority of the land, the Council. That is right. Even you can join the Council. Yes, you. Whoever you are. A system without care. No single thread in the carpet holds the entirety together, and so shall our homeland be built to endure, no matter what single thread is cut. Should one leader fall, there's always someone else ready to rise. Fair enough. Griffwald is still just doing well. They're currently Flowean war on... Yeah, Flowena, I don't think that was a good idea. Sure, you have a surprisingly big army, but they have a bigger one. And have way more land, so I'm sorry, Flowena. I don't think that's going to work out for you. The Griffonian Empire's kind of stalled. Like, I feel like they usually expand a little quicker than that. Though the Duchy of Cloudberry does mean that they should be able to just get them for basically free. So that's good for them. King of Adina is having this civil war, though it looks like they're invading just 1/2 of the civil war, so that's probably helping them out a lot. And they're like, what the, why are you doing this to us? What? And that's definitely what they're thinking. Kaza did win over there. Minotaurs took the mainland. They're still fighting. They're fighting them. Stalingrad's still pushing southwards. Lunar Empire's been not doing well. A many-headed state. The great Eloquid's shortcoming was that she was but one zebra, but that as power flowed from her, it lessened all those around her. Zarantia is not one tribe, but many, and thus every tribal chief must be part of the leadership. Of course. It's weird saying this, but it looks like Griffwald is doing their thing, not Aquilia. Aquilia's over here, I mean, doing their current thing of being humiliated as a tiny puppet state under a republican government. When the kingdom did win, the people chose the kingdom, they won the Civil War, so more people with them than the Republic, but the Republic got forcefully put in charge, and now it looks like they're all probably gonna die to Republic. Actually, they're not joining. Imagine if this is when Aquilia gets their independence and then they go on a conquest spree. No, it's too late for them. The Hydra of Zarantia. In the end, a government is nothing but a group of creatures meeting in the to decide upon important matters, and fixed places to meet where a matter of convenience, not necessity. What more, fixing the seat of government in one place was an invite favoritism. Having the seat of government in your region would mean that you were the tribe who stood closest to power. Tobuk had been one solution, but were they not a tribe in and of themselves, those city ponies, a large and unusual chaotic tribe, but a tribe all the same? No, Tobuk was not a solution. In the end, it was the representative of Talat who suggested the best way out of the conundrum. Whenever a decision that concerned a region was to be taken, the decision would be taken in that region to be considered legitimate. A government absent from the region affected by the choices would not be legitimate, and though there has been protest by some of the settled tribes, as well as from the Tobukians, no other solution has been found. The votes of the underserved and marginalized tribes still count, and along with the Elquids pleading for accord, the decision ended up approved. The question of how exactly these regional seats will look will vary, with Agazat and Tobuk having their council chambers prepared, but the nomadic tribes having simply begun to acquire grand tents and radios to host the council whenever it travels through their region. This will certainly make the council meetings a bit more interesting going ahead. Besides, some of the honored chieftains can do with some exercise. Hey, we get, a whole bunch of places get turned into like city things. But for now, I think this is a good time to end this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.